mockingbird to control the narrative. CIA infiltration, media manipulation, so elaborate. Targeting black communities, tearing down our pride. Attacking our women, our men, our history, our stride. From education to entertainment, they're trying to erase our legacy, our culture, our very own pace. Took our men out of schools, put them in the jail system. Left our women handling bills with no emotional support. It's a scheme. They destroyed our museums, took away our history, trying to make us forget our ancestors' legacy. But we won't be silenced, we'll rise above. We'll reclaim our narrative, our truth, our love. Operation Mockingbird, a web of deceit, manipulating minds, our communities to be. But we're waking up, seeing the truth. Our voice is loud, our resistance in you. They took Michael Jordan, tried to make him a joke, tried to erase our greatness, our cultural stroke. But we're still standing, our history won't fade. We'll keep it alive, our legacy won't be erased. From civil rights to black power, our struggle's real. They tried to silence us, but our voices are still. Our community colleges, they tried to dismantle, but we're building our own with knowledge and with battle. Epstein's files, they're trying to distract, keep the focus off the truth, our people's contract. They're trying to hide their plan to destroy our communities, our families, our girls, our boys. But we won't be fooled, we'll keep it real. We'll expose the truth, we'll make it feel. Our resistance is growing, our voices are loud. We'll take back our narrative, we'll break the mold. Black people ain't the ones trying to take Jordan down. He's clean, but Epstein's files are wearing the crown. It's a distraction, trying to shift the blame, keeping the focus off the Epstein game. Operation Mockingbird, a web of deceit, manipulating minds, our communities to be. But we're waking up, seeing the truth. Our voice is loud, our resistance in you. Blue shadows fall, the mockingbird sings. CIA whispers, media wings, spreading lies, controlling minds, targeting communities, leaving scars behind. Operation Mockingbird aimed at the core. Black communities hit, Panthers on the floor. FBI informants sowing discord and fear. COINTELPRO tactics wending clear. They infiltrated, they manipulated our game. Use our own brothers to bring us pain. The Black Panthers targeted leaders in chains. Fred Hampton murdered his dreams in vain. Media distortion twisted the truth, portrayed us as thrifts, fueled the youth, took our message of power, turned it to rage, left our communities fractured in a cage. Culture experiments, mind control games, used our people like pawns in their flames. They wanted us broken, divided and weak, but our spirit remains, our voices won't speak. From Chicago to LA, the struggle's real. They tried to silence us, but our message will prevail. The mockingbird song won't be the end. Our voices will rise, our people will transcend.
All right. Original music from the Seventh Answer, Lady Karima.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. He'll be back. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the like.
Now, never fear, like I said. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, let's get this introduction back on. Okay. Like I said, you are tuned into now the Lions Den. The seventh Answer, Lady Karima is one of your hosts, and I am your brother, your friend, and servant, Dark Storm. And you're now tuned into another Truthality listening experience. And from city to city and state to state without no follow-up, bleep, bloops, or blunders. When you tune to the Lion's Den, Lady Karima, she's going to give you all sorts of miracles and wonders. Miracles and wonders. And of course, this is the home where we propagate and give all honor to the Lord and Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. And this is also the Lion's Den, where we propagate also freedom of speech, but responsible speech. And what is the rule, the law, and the edict that governs freedom of speech? We think before we speak. We give careful consideration of what we say before we say it. Because there's a good book, a Bible proverb says, he that keepeth his mouth, or she that keepeth his mouth, keepeth his life. What the good Lord is saying is it. If you think before you speak and you give careful consideration before you say it, you can preserve yourself, because there's also the abuse of speech. And unfortunately, in this land of the free and home of the brave, freedom of speech has been woefully misconstrued, where you're told that you can say whatever you want to say without there being any consequences and repercussions, which is not reality. Because history has shown time and time again, if you say something that someone don't like and is disrespectful, you might get yourself hurt very seriously. So we, again, propagate freedom of speech, but responsible speech, but we think before we speak. So moving on. What makes this machine also run are the 7 eyes that we obey. And that is, on an interchangeable basis, insight, independence, intelligence, integrity, inspiration, influence, and of course, verifiable and always provable information. And when you roll with lions, you're rolling with the pride, because the seventh answer and myself, we are always dedicated to being permanently ready and destroying evil, starting with our own. See, we don't walk as Mr. and Mrs. Perfect. We strive to be a moral man and moral woman. But sometimes this flesh, it gets in the way. But irregardless of whatever, we still rise to our godly man and godly woman to come out here and give you this high-powered, again, truthality listening experience of epic proportions. And for those of you listening, you have our gratitude for allowing us to come into your home. And you know that we're also one of the many factions of the anti-coon movement. You know what a coon is. That's C-O-O-N. That is a complete, obedient, obvious, yes, boss, Negro. We don't do that here. There's no Stephen from Django. Ain't no Sambo, no buck dancing, no bedwenching, no yasabal. We don't know. No, not at all. Because we can't be bought, and more importantly, we can't be sold. And also, when you tune to the Lion's Den, all we gonna do is hit you with the facts, y'all. That's FACTS. That's frequently accurate, correct truths. Because we base everything on the two building blocks of this great, wonderful social media experience. And that is Isaiah, the 41st chapter, verse 21, which tells us what? To prove all, no, not prove all things, but yeah, produce our cause. I'm getting transposed over here. Produce our cause and bring forth all our strong evidence to support whatever we talk about, past, present, or future. And of course, there's 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, at verse 21, which tells us, yes, that's right, be ready, willing, and able to prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. Why? Because it pays to be educated. It pays to be informed. And this is also the home of point and counterpoint. Now, sometimes the seventh answer and I, although we agree 95% of the time, there's always that 5% that might, have that gray area we have to, iron out, point, counterpoint. Some say debate, but be that as it may, what we do here is in love and good-naturedness, because it's okay to respect differing opinions as long as they're relevant and intelligent. Oh, yes. And on that note, let me break this down to all of you out there who hate the truth, who hate the fact that we stand so boldly and say what need to be said and should be said at all times. For all you out there that hate that, whether you like it or not, believe it or not, or you want to deal, like the late Curtis Mayfield and Aretha Franklin, we're giving you something that you can feel. And the truth is always encompassing. It is uncompromising. And for you, those you out there who like to live in lies and a bubble of illusion and delusion, well, the seventh answer and myself, we always extend to you our deepest sympathies and empathies, because we're not going to compromise for nobody. So if you like living in lies and you don't like what we do here, you might as well vamoose. You might as well skedaddle. You can scram, you can beat it. Whatever adjective that describes you, you can leave. And whatever verb that gives the action on how you leave, go. Leave right now. Because let me assure you, my Negro and my Negress, you will not be missed. Okay? Let's just make that clear. And last but certainly not least, you're being hit with Virgo energy. That's right. We are analytical, tactical, critical, and political, but we always strive to never be hypocritical. And yes. When you come into the Lion's Den, you will follow the house rule set forth by one of our other beautiful family members, I Am Manna, who said so many years ago, you better tread lightly when you come into the Lion's Den, wipe your feet, mind your manners, conduct yourself in an orderly manner, and enjoy yourself, because if you get out of line at any given time, the seventh answer, Lady Karima, Black Beauty Inc., don't let that pretty face fool you. Oh, she will usher you up out of here with the quickness, lightning speed, because in the spirit of Conan the Barbarian, she practices the communication of steel. And what is the communication of steel? Oh, we will crush our enemies, show no mercy, and listen to the boo-hoo crying of all you trolls, critters, kooks, and crazies as you get tossed up out of here. So now, with all the formalities now out the way, we're going to continue the conversation we continued last night. But wait a minute. Wait. Let me just say this here to our haters out there. But I'm going to go Macho Man Randy Savage real quick. To all the haters out there, oh yeah. As you come into the Lion's Den, space is the place and opportunity is the motive, because we are the cream of the crop. And all you haters out there, but I'm going to call you pukesters, understand this here. Like Darkstorm said, you could leave right now. Because pukesters, we didn't like you last night, and we don't like you now. Because we are the cream of the crop. And you are nothing but garbage. Thank you, Randy. So with that being said, let's get it in, y'all. Part 2 of America, the land of the free. Are you sure? Yeah, we went in last night, and we're going to go in for the next 3 hours here. Now, before we do that, though, yours truly, I made a caveat. I made a big mistake in regards to a name, all right? And I was talking about a lot of billionaires out there, and one billionaire in particular who, along with a consortium of different owners or investors in TikTok, I identified him as Peter Field. And on last night's show, you know, at the 1 hour 29 mark, because I always mark the shows, all right, I said Peter Field, but his actual name is Peter Thiel. And during the course of this show, we're going to introduce you to this guy. Oh, he's a real piece of work. Okay, you think Donald Trump is bad, man? Oh, my God. Okay, but hold on. Yeah, now, what we're going to do for about maybe 15 to 30 minutes, half an hour, what we're going to do, we're going to run a litany of videos, though. Because, see, again, the question is, America, the land of the free, are you sure? Because you've been hearing us say it time and time again, a certain spirit and a certain blanket of darkness and anger is now on America. Real talk. We're going to show and prove it to you. Because, see, we don't just make blanket statements and don't offer proof. We don't come with any bias, and we don't cut any corners. We don't hem, we don't haw. We come straight with no chaser. And what we're going to be showing you are a litany of thoughts, different temperaments, different ways of saying it. Some of them are not, we don't censor here. You know, we censor our own language and how we try to stay away from colorful language, but we don't censor when we find people who are speaking from the heart. All right. So what I'm gonna do is, with some difficulty, put my motor mouth on break. We're gonna run these videos back to back to back because you know what? They speak for themselves, and then we're gonna come back. But now you're gonna find out we ain't as free, and we never have been free in this United States of America, Inc. And so, with all that out the way, seventh answer, let's start proving and grooving and showing our fellow listeners out there the real deal on what's going on in America right about now. But if you're not ready at this point, I can still, give the intro as I continue on. But also later on in the broadcast, there's another aspect I still want to tackle. Earlier during the week or last week we had TLC. What's her name? Rosanda Kelly Thomas. She was in the news along with Nick Cannon because of their political choices or things they had to say. With Chili, I can't really defend her. I kind of had to, X her off the list because she's made herself indefensible being clumsy and lying. Not a good thing. If you're going to stand on a thing, then stand on it. If you're going to be who you are, then be who you are. Now, for some of you that's coming in, stand by. I'm going to have you join. If you want to come here and join us on the panel, give us about a half an hour or so. Let's set this tone and everything else, right? Okay? And then we're going to drop the link for you to come in and we can start conversing. But again, I will be defending Nick Cannon, however, because, see, I'm sick of you, the Democrats. See, y'all got a serious problem with accountability. See, the Republicans, look, I always say this here before we get all the way into the show. Whether right wing or left wing or Kentucky Fried Chicken wing, the whole bird in this country is foul. Okay? See, let's not forget that many of the Republicans were comprised or is comprised of former Democrats who were so hardcore and hardline in their bigoted racism and how the Democrats gave it up historically that when they did seem to go soft, some Republicans left. Some Democrats left and became Republican and joined the Republican Party. But don't get it twisted. I will not be defending the Republican Party when I go in on the Democratic Party later on the night, because what Nick Cannon said about the Democratic Party being a KKK and all that, he wasn't lying. He was not lying. What he was saying the Democratic Party was, very much staunch in stopping Black progress. Foundation of Black American, that is, progress. He wasn't lying. See, what I hate about this world that I've inherited, along with some of you others out there who are Gen Xers and millennials, what I hate about this society, we were taught coming up as children through various television programming, we shouldn't lie. Don't lie. Keep a straight face and always be ready to tell the truth. But now we see that the truth is really hated by certain people out here who have made their living through lies and manipulation and gaslighting and no accountability. And I get that. But I've come a long way, because there was a time I used to practice lying, but I've learned throughout the years it's not a good thing. So I no longer lie. But of course now in certain instances, if I realize telling the whole truth just might get me in trouble, I'm not gonna lie, but I ain't gonna tell. I'm not gonna tell the whole truth. I'm just saying. Okay, if it's nothing that's gonna involve someone's life being at risk, it's okay to keep my mouth shut. Like the Miranda warning says, you have the right to remain silent because anything you say or do can possibly be used against you. Okay? Just a thought. It's just a thought. But when it comes down to, serious issues and people's lives and livelihood and well-being, oh no, I can't sit by and see things that are happening and then, act like I don't see it. What I'm really trying to say is fancy-wise, what I'm not going to do is be the individual who has someone put a pile of genetic trash, dookie poo, in front of me, put powdered sugar on it, and then I'm supposed to say it's sweet. No, I don't do that. The seventh answer, she don't do that either. We just straight shooters. Okay? And so therefore, as she queue up the videos and everything else, look, we can't continue to go on like this. We cannot continue to have, like I said, Democrat, Republican, or whatever, continuing to raid this country's financial coffers and giving money to everybody but us. Here it is, millions upon millions of Americans. And I'm going to say this here, right? That I'm able to be bipartisan. I'm still a part of this society and this nation. So therefore, I don't mind going into the whole issue of foundational Black American or speaking out on behalf of a great many people out here listening. See, one thing I don't want people to get twisted, that when you listen to the Lions Den, yes, we do speak up for and to our people first, unapologetically. But we also public figures, and we understand that we belong to everyone. And also, when you tune in here, this is not about being anti anybody's ethnicity, race, creed, or color. Let's make that clear. Because see, we follow and obey the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, which forbids any media and public forum to be used to spew forth racist or disrespectful points of views. Albeit, throughout the years, we've seen a lot of shows that seem to get a pass and leeway. But we understand that as Black folk, we got to be very careful what we say. Because there's two types of Americas. And we're not going to pretend that we don't understand that. But whatever your persuasion, all right, whether you be East Indian, Asian, or Caucasian, when you come in here, you're welcome too. You're quite welcome. Because see, here in the Lions Den, we also ask a very significant question. And that is, aren't you tired of being lied to? I know I am, and we know you are. And you know that when you tune in to us, you know that we are going to give you the much needed truth. See, like I said, we don't have any sponsors breathing down our backs, telling us what we can and cannot say. We don't have anybody. We don't depend on someone else's money because we can't be bought. We can't be sold like this great big old corporate owned media today. And that makes us unique and powerful in that we speak so independently and so freely. And again, we always come armed with the frequently accurate, correct truths. Because see, the seventh answer and our dark storm, like veteran rapper, a recording artist, Big Daddy Kane, said so many years ago, ain't no half stepping, because Karima and I, we are indeed spiritual, lyrical Smith and Wessons, and we're armed with the truth, and we're dangerous. Only, again, too, kooks and crazies and liars, unapologetically. So, again, we're going to run off these videos. We're going to show you better than we can tell you. And we want you to understand that, listen, we don't advocate any kind of treasonous behavior, sedition, nor terroristic thoughts or actions. But what we are doing is reporting and showing you a building a building attitude in this country. And you better be very much aware. We've seen outbursts and all that, but you're going to see more now as the days progress. We understand that we're living in a government where those who have been entrusted to lead in righteous governing have not been doing that and continue not to do it. We all see this war that we're in with Iran is dragging us further and further into an abyss. We have on both the left and the right leaders who, like I said, were a bunch of Vietnam draft dodging punks, but now they so bold and so tough to want to go and start a war. And here it is now. We got reports coming in. Don't know how true it is, but still 700 troops, 700 now. American troops, I want to add, have been killed in this war. If that is true, we have a very serious problem on our hands. And like I said, I'm tired of all these broke down, crotchety. Let me be careful. Kind of want, our elders to feel some kind of way. So let me reword it. What I'm tired of, and I'm sure a great many others are tired of, is some of our elders in the boomer generation being allowed to go out here, wreck the economy, start wars, and yet when Vietnam was going on, they were hiding under their mother's skirt. Like Donald J. Trump and others who are so tough. What we're tired of is seeing people like Pete Hegseth. Yeah, he served in the military, but he wasn't no high-ranking general of any kind, telling high-ranking generals and some who saw action that their leadership and their services are no longer needed. Yo, like what? Dude, as we showed last night on videos, he was all stumbling and bumbling, can't answer questions. When asked, he come with all this tough John Wayne talk, but yet when he's pressed on things he's done that's illegal, come on. We the people are tired of this. We're tired of it. All right? It's just that simple. And also, there's some of you out there who are mad at us black folk. Why aren't we out there fighting? Why aren't Let me just break this down to some of our white listeners out there. Listen, for years on end, we've been telling you about the injustices that we have been suffering in this country. For years on end, you've seen the things that we've suffered, and yet you turn a blind eye. You didn't care as long as the foot wasn't in your Abakatuski. But now that foot is in your behind, you want us to now join you, fight for you, when you've allowed some of your leaders and some of your spokesmen, the Sean Hannity's, the Charlie Kirks, the Rush Limbaughs, who else? The Patrick Buchanans, from yesterday to today, making all kinds of disrespectful and virulent and untrue statements about, number one being, black people make 13% of the population of America commit all the crime, which is pure bull shenanigans, and you know it. But for years, you've let all that slide. You let all that go. And now when the foot's in your behind and you're now uncomfortable, to my white faction of America and to the listeners here, you think that we're supposed to get out there and fight for you? No, we're not doing that no more. Especially when we don't get our fair share, when the battle's won and the spoils and the monies that should be allocated fairly, we don't get anything. Oh no, we're done with that. We're done. So with all that out the way, we're gonna get these videos running now. And we're gonna show you America, the land of the free. Are you sure? Seventh answer. Let's take it away. And we'll be back in a few minutes once we're gonna run all these videos in their entirety, right? And we're gonna introduce you to Peter Thiel. And boy, that dude's a piece of work. So brace yourself. Take it away, Seventh Answer. Let's go to work.
After 5 years of remote work, and what we know from our companies is that remote work is not working. And 5 years of people, 90% or whatever of the federal workforce, not working and not making a difference. You sort of realize that these people weren't working before, and it doesn't matter. You can replace them with AI, or maybe you can replace them without AI, and we can improve things tremendously. After 5 years of remote work, and what we know from our companies is that remote work is not.
Okay, I see you want to introduce Peter Thiel. Now I want to save him for last. But ladies and gentlemen, you're getting a glimpse of Peter Thiel, who, if I didn't know any better, I would swear that he is indeed the true life Damian Thorne. We're going to show you other videos of this dude, boy. But I want to save him for last. But anyway, if you want to go with him first, Seventh Answer, no problem. But check, boy, this dude, like I said, between he and Jared Kushner, either both of them or one of them is the devil's son, the devil's advocate for real. Okay, so when you're ready, if you got them all queued up and lined up, let's continue on. But like I said, for those of you that are joining, welcome to
from bottom to top, because it'd be difficult to find them. So yeah, and then I gotta go back and forth from Facebook to YouTube, so it's not gonna be no rapid thing. So you gotta give me some time.
Okay. Well, anyway, Peter Thiel. Let me give you the backdrop on this dude once again. If you don't know who Peter Thiel is and why I'm making a big deal about him, Peter Thiel, besides being one of the owners of TikTok, all right, billionaire, spy master, this dude has all types of contracts in AI and surveillance. But here it is. Listen, Listen carefully to what he thinks and how he feels about we the people. Go to work, Seventh Answer.
Political dimension of getting back to the future. You can't, you know, I don't know. This is a conversation I had with Elon back in 2024, and we had all these conversations. I had the seasteading version with Elon where I said, Trump doesn't win, I want to just leave the country. And then Elon said, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. This is the only and then you always think of the right arguments to make later. And it was about 2 hours after we had dinner and I was home that I thought of, wow, Elon, you don't believe in going to Mars anymore. 2024 is the year where Elon stopped believing in Mars, not as a silly science tech project, but as a political project. Mars was supposed to be a political project. It was building an alternative. And in 2024, Elon came to believe that if you went to Mars, the socialist US government, the woke AI, it would follow you to Mars. It was the Demis meeting with Elon that we sort of brokered. He was doing DeepMind.
This is an AI company.
Yeah, this was the rough conversation was, Demis tells Elon, I'm working on the most important project in the world. I'm building a superhuman AI. And Elon responds to Demis, well, I'm working on the most important project in the world. I am turning us into interplanetary species. And then Demis said, well, my AI will be able to follow you to Mars. And then Elon sort of went quiet. But in my telling of the history, it took years for that to really hit Elon. It took him till 2024 to process it.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't believe in Mars. It just means that he decided he had to win some kind of battle over budget deficits or wokeness to get to Mars.
What does Mars mean? Is it and again, it's.
What does Mars mean?
Well, is it just a scientific project, or is it, I don't know, is it like a Heinlein,
a vision of a new society?
Yeah, Heinlein,
populated by many
libertarian
people
paradise
descended
or something
from
like this.
Elon Musk.
Well,
right,
I don't know if it was concretized that specifically, but if you concretize things, then maybe you realize that Mars is supposed to be more than a science project. It's supposed to be a political project. And then when you concretize it, you have to start thinking through, well, the woke AI will follow you, the socialist government will follow you. And then maybe you have to do something other than just going to Mars.
Now, did you hear? Did you get all that? Now, okay, they want, of course, now to leave this planet, then ruin the world, ruin Earth, and want to go to another planet to colonize and take over, concretize. But did you catch the part about he has development superhuman AIs? See, this dude has all types of contracts and spying and surveillance. This guy's hella dangerous. I want you to understand. Look him up and what he's into. Superhuman AI. Think the Terminator. Think the T-800, the T-1000. Think that. Think that this guy has contracts wherein using surveillance equipment through the World Wide Web of social media, they can put all types of devices legally to spy on you and I. This is what this dude is into. But as we continue on, listen carefully to how Peter Thiel gives it up. Run it, Seventh Answer.
So far, just some layup questions ahead, and let's bring this home.
I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right?
No way.
You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I don't know. I would.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yes. The only answer is yes.
Yes.
Great.
But
fuck,
I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, you know,
what is he talking? What is he talking about?
Yeah, transhumanism. Human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or a transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross dresses. We want more than cross dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind, your whole body. And then Orthodox Christianity.
All right, Peter, you've been doing great so far. Just some layup questions ahead, and let's bring this home.
Now, they were comedians, incorporating themselves in that interview with Peter Thiel. But did you catch that, ladies and gentlemen? Did you hear when the moderator asked him, do you want to see the human race prevail? He went, right there. And did you hear, as he continued to talk, he started articulating what you've heard Elon Musk and so many other billionaire and trillionaire types saying, about depopulation. He started talking about, transhumanism, being able to transfer by. What is he talking about? Take under careful consideration, again, what this dude is saying. He actually stopped on the issue of, does he want to see humanity prevail? This dude is dangerous. And again, he's into surveillance, developing, weaponized robot. I'm going to say robots. But again, this guy's, let's not forget, in the movie The Terminator, the whole war against humanity began in 2029. And here we are in 2026. I never thought I would live to see 2026, but here we are. And you got this dude in the lead developing this kind of technology. And you can see he doesn't want to see the majority of the human race prevail. But let's continue on. Let's listen to how people are feeling and thinking right now in this country. The land of the free. Are you sure? Let's go to work.
I want to play for you one of the most chilling clips I've ever heard. And just hold on and trust me, because it's not that chilling until you realize what it means.
The basic idea was that we could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
That's tech billionaire and Republican megadonor Peter Thiel speaking at a Libertopia, a libertarian conference in 2010. He's basically saying that his political ideology is so unappealing that it'll never win elections. And that's one thing he's right about, because he's railed against women having the right to vote, complained so much about diversity, and written some really disgusting stuff about sexual assault and consent. But he knows that he can use technology as a unilateral alternative to politics, and that should really freak you out. Thiel is one of the co-founders and biggest investors in Palantir, a CIA-funded technology company that has contracts across the government for their data software. Here's their CFO speaking a few years ago.
We continue to advance our mission of becoming the U.S. government's central operating system as we extend our footprint across defense, healthcare, and civilian agencies.
And while both President Obama and Biden did sign Palantir contracts, President Trump is taking it way further. There are new contracts with ICE, something literally called Immigration OS, and the IRS. So 15 years ago, Peter Thiel, like the supervillain in a movie explaining his plan to the hero, admitted that he can use technology to get his ideas across when they're unpopular, completely subverting democracy. And today, one of his technology companies is gaining more and more power within the government, building the very systems our government relies on. And oh yeah, this is the CEO.
The central risk to Palantir and America and the world is a regressive way of thinking that is corrupting and corroding our institutions, that calls itself progressive, but actually, and is called woke, but is actually a form of a thin pagan religion.
If you're a progressive, if you have progressive values, meaning you just, care about other people, the CEO of the company building America's technological back end thinks of you as the central risk. He thinks of you as the enemy. Are these the people you want running the systems you rely on, or worse, the systems that surveil you?
Now, did you get that? This man is talking about being able to use technology in such a way to subvert and usurp any kind of human interactions in making just decisions, controlling and manipulating how people think and feel. How many of you remember the Pierce Brosnan-led James Bond film, Tomorrow Never Dies? Do you remember the premise of that movie? Where you had this billionaire mogul, news mogul, who was going around creating, unaliving people to create the news and create and manipulate the attitudes of people and put in play his devious plan of world domination. You see how movies, or should I say art, imitates life? Like I said, between Jared Kushner and Peter Thiel, those two give me serious Damien Thorne vibes. If you don't know who Jared Kushner is the brains, if you will, behind every move that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and anyone else in government, in the U.S. government, is making. All the Epstein, all that. Jared Kushner is the, chief decision maker. And if you never heard him talk, you need to look him up. But Peter Thiel, this dude is, the fact that he has many contracts in artificial intelligence surveillance and is developing technology, super robots, super trans robots, as he called, transhumans, as he calls them. Do you remember how in the movie The Terminator, when Michael Biehn was discussing with Sarah Connor, that the first set of Terminators, they were easy to spot because they were clunky and it was obvious, but the T-800, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger model, they had made it so sophisticated that it was virtually human, sweat, bad breath, everything, every function. You think those movies were just movies? You think, like I said, we have been getting predictive programming all this time, and here we are. In the movie The Omen, sure, it dealt with a central figure, Damien Thorne, who was the son of the devil that would lead the charge against Christ and those who are good. This dude here, as you can see, he's totally anti-human, anti-God, anti-Christ. But wait a minute, you know what? in the next series of videos, I want you to listen to what this dude says. And any of you out there, when you finish watching this show, do your own research on this dude, Peter Thiel, and Jared Kushner. All right? I'm trying to tell you, this dude is dangerous. Run the seventh answer.
Fired Pam Bondi. Certainly took him long enough after she perjured herself in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Pam Bondi was very, very bad at a cover-up, and she will be held accountable for that. This is not over just because she was fired. And certainly when we take back the House and we have the gavels, I will be leading investigations into her misconduct and lying under oath. It doesn't mean that the Epstein cover-up goes with Pam Bondi. And in fact, Todd Blanche, who will now take over as acting attorney general, was more involved in the cover-up than Bondi was. I look forward to him coming before our committee as soon as possible so he can explain why he is continuing to withhold half of the Epstein files, nearly 3 million more. So Donald Trump finally fired.
Okay, this video is going into a whole different aspect. But yeah, for all y'all who haven't heard, Donald Trump fired former Attorney General Pam Bondi, last week, on Friday to be exact, which would be have been April 3rd. But see, this is where we're headed. All right. Now you're going to see in the next series of videos that we run them, the climate and the attitude of a great many people out here. See, the seventh answer and myself, our vision isn't blurry. And we walk proudly as being woke. We're not under no one's spell of any kind of, demonic spell. We walk cognizant. And see, this is why you're tuning into the Lion's Den. The conversation continues because, as you can see, we are on our job. We go down the rabbit hole fearlessly, revealing all demons and devils walking with earthly feet. Now, we gave you an introduction to Peter Thiel. Okay? We're going to continue on. But listen to the climate and the attitude of various people in this country and what they're thinking. We're trying to show you something. Go.
Is going to go with the 2030 agenda if we do not stand up and stop it. Tree denied. You have criticized the government.
Sorry, last week you purchased too much meat and now your access to your money has been denied.
You haven't let the government know about this trip and your access is denied.
You have gone over your carbon credit allowance of food this week and your access to food has been denied. A day in the life of UK school children 2035 with digital ID. You have gone over your electricity allowance this week and your access is denied. You have gone over your weekly travel limit and your access is denied.
Just like that movie A Bug's Life, we got to stand up.
There was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss. They're...
Pay attention.
Yeah, you're
boss. They're pure.
Little ant. You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might, keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay?
There's more of us than them. This is exactly where we're headed if we don't stop it now. Pay attention. This is exactly where the world is going to go with the 2030 agenda if we do not.
You see the attitude, you see the building climate, you see that we're not making these things up as we go along. We are out here with our finger on the pulse and we see what's about to go left in this country. You see the building resentment, and anger. As a matter of fact, if you are listening to international news, have you heard how in Italy, the people out there are now protesting? They're not paying their bills. They're not paying rent. They're not paying jack bone. They have completely shut down. That's what's happening right now. And you best believe it's happening in other countries. India. It's happening in India. It's happening in other parts of the world because people are tired. Beyond tired. And see, for a long time in America, a lot of you out there were going along to get along, especially our white constituents. Not constituents, our white compatriots, if you want to call them that. See, as long as a foot was in your behind, you was okay. You knew all about what was going on in the black community, you know, what they've been doing to us. You knew. You saw just recently at the United Nations when the United States, Israel, and Argentina voted down black folks receiving reparations. A great many of you out there, you agree with it. You've been voting against it on the low too. But now that MAGA, and now that your president and his promises of making America great again, you thought that included you, all you poor whites, that is. You thought they cared about you. No, no. Now you see that everything we told you happening to us will be happening to you. Welcome. And this is why a great many of you are angry. But listen, we're not going to be, we have our own issues. We have our own problems. And we're not going to fight for you or anybody else, because here you can't continue to slap us in the face and think we're going to just come along and be happy-go-lucky. And besides all that, why would you want a member of the 13% of the race who commits all the crimes to be by your side? Just being sarcastic, that is. Why would you want a DEI hire somebody you think is unqualified based upon the color of our skin, and we get a break? Why would you want someone like that by your side anyway? It's just a thought. I'm just putting it out there. So, yeah, what we're showing you is this here. Let me just get right down to it. A civil war, an uncivil war, that is about to erupt in this country. What we're showing you is the growing resentment, the growing anger among people. But you know what? Let's prove it. Let's talk more proof. Here we go. Let's go to work.
The government's there to steal from people, not to help people. And that's what people don't seem to understand. That government aid is not government aid. That when the United States comes and drops $1 billion relief package, it's not a relief package, it's a loan. And if you don't pay off the loan, now you have to sell off national assets like land, like precious metals, like natural resources to pay back that debt. And that's how you turn countries into slaves. The government's there to steal from people, not to help people. And that's what people don't seem to understand. That government aid is not government aid. That when the United States comes and drops $1 billion relief package, it's not a relief package, it's a loan. And if you don't pay off the loan, now you have to sell off national assets like land, like precious metals, like natural resources to pay back that debt. And that's how you turn countries into slaves.
See, the game is up. People see. But let me just say this here about our white counterparts. See, we know that you're not going to sing. You're not going to be interested in doing no freedom rides. You're not going to do the whole we shall overcome and sing and dance. See, we understand. There's certain factions of white America, when you go messing with their money, they're going to straight up hurt you very seriously. They're going to put caps in your behind. We understand that. We get that. And this is what we're showing you. See, We're not making this up. We're not bigoted racists. No, we're showing you exactly what's coming. We know that the FBI, CIA, we know all many intelligentsia agencies are watching that. We know you're listening. Okay? We know that just like Pharaoh and all the other world empires that stood, and the Lord tried to give you a chance. I know some of you don't believe in the Bible, you don't believe in God, that's fine, whatever. But still, we know you're going to harden your hearts, and you are hardening your hearts now. But see, I'm going to put this in your ear. Ever since the United States went on record officially, as of, I think it was, here we are now, we're in April 5th, but going back to, I think, March 27th, if I got the dates right, when you had that big council at the United Nations, all right, and you had this guy. Let me get his name again. I want to make sure I say his name correctly. What's his name? Dan Negria, who stood as a representative for America, and he went on record saying that America did no wrong during the era of slavery because everything that they did to the Black Americans was legal. It was legal. Ever since that became the official statement and record of America, now look at a few weeks later, all kinds of havoc has been happening. So this is a spiritual matter as well as a political and social matter, but spiritual first. But anyway, let's continue running these videos down the line.
This movie, it was made the year I was born, 1981.
You're bored. We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks? And it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no. Met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. I met this extraordinary English tree expert who had devoted his life to saving trees. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "New York. Yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison." And then he went into his pocket, and he took out a seed for a tree, and he said, "This is a pine tree." He put it in my hand and he said, "Escape before it's too late."
I actually think right now is the time to escape before.
Yes, that film was called A Dinner Conversation, 1981. Did you catch what he was saying though? Did you hear how he was talking about New York? He used New York as the forerunner because New York is the empire state. New York is where all major businesses worldwide come in to do what has to be done. With, of course, Philadelphia, California, Atlanta being, second, third, along with Chicago. But New York, the Empire State, you heard how he said that people will be trained They would be lobotomized in their own world wherein work, being distracted, trying to attain money, and a fantasy lifestyle would keep them on the plantation. Well, we're in that world right now. We're in that zone right now. Notice that in the last 40 years or better, they got every kind of medication, psychotropic drug, and then you have illicit drugs that put you in a delusional, illusional, and all kinds of other, mind states that make you comfortable with being enslaved. Okay? You chase $1 and a dream, but you get plenty of dreams, but no dollars. Think about it. And that was 1981. Some of us were children at the time. We're going to continue on, but listen to the growing climate and the attitude of the various people that you're seeing in these videos.
Control to distract us from the bigger picture. Do you understand all of the distraction is from the next round of shutdowns? More control to distract us from the bigger picture. It is what it is. It's happening. It's rolling out. The energy crisis lockdowns are happening, guys.
The coming weeks, if you can switch to catching the train or bus or tram to work, do so. That builds our reserves and it saves fuel for people who have no choice but to drive.
Oil situation, the energy situation, I think they're conditioning the population to start being comfortable with energy rationing, right? How are people supposed to drive to work? How are people supposed to afford this? So is this the beginning of another rollout of a global elite agenda? It makes you wonder.
I'm not sure if they're coordinated enough to kind of pull something like this off. I think this is just a big bungling of the situation. I don't think they actually thought that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz, because it shows that we don't have the power to open a critical, waterway.
I know that they thought we were crazy before with the muzzles, with the you-know-whats, and then it happened for years of our lives. And then what they're going to do is start requiring digital IDs to be on social media, particularly Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. This is why me and my girl JoJo just started our own uncensored Truth Society on the school app, where we are meeting once a week, once or actually even 2 or 3 times a week. You guys are welcome to join everything. And we're starting today at 12. So like in 2.5 hours, our first co-truthing team session. So we could not only survive through this, but maybe even thrive this time around for years and years and years. Because I don't know about you, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that it's 2026. And I'm wondering, what did they do with CERN or time travel or our minds, some MK Ultra style shit? Because I don't know where the last 6 years went, and I'm not going to let that happen again. So if you want the link, just comment me below this and I'll send you the link to get in, because right now it is just founder access.
See, these are all, as you're seeing in the video, these are all white folk. And like, I'm not going to sit up here and hem and haw. For everybody else out here listening, when you see the citizens that this country was actually built for, unhappy and speaking in this manner, burning their American flag, burning their own constitution, and continue to speak more and more about dissent, anger, you know what we need to be doing, and that is getting up out the way, minding our business, and keeping our nose clean. Because we have enough that we have to contend with. All right? But see, for all my white listeners out there, now you're seeing finally what black people have been trying to tell you about some of your white brethren putting on their police uniform and being way out of control, because now more and more videos are surfacing of them attacking you. And now you see it. Some of them putting on that ICE uniform. and jumping down your throat. But see, this is what happened when you forget your own history. Let's not forget that in Europe, there was a lot of dissent among you white clans. All right, let's not forget that a great many of you whites that came to America, your forefathers and mothers who immigrated here, who came here, were kicked out and looked down upon by the so-called aristocracy of England and other areas of Europe. You know, white on white violence. Think about that for a second. I know some of you may bristle and feel some kind of way about your history and you're being reminded of it. But look, if what we're saying is the truth, you can't get mad at it. It's the truth. Because now that truth is now kicking you in the behind. Again, black folks, we've been telling you. And you saw what was happening to us. But as long as it wasn't happening to you, that's common among many people. And some of you other nations that came here to America, you want to get in good with the supremacist mind, frame, and attitude. You want to make yourself be allegiance to the MAGA. You want to be MAGA adjacent. But now all you Asians, you're crying the blues because you can't get into the schools because of DEI. But wait a minute, you sided with Ed Blum, and when he was alive, Charlie Kirk, and everybody else who had a hand in making all these frivolous lawsuits and had you believing that you couldn't get into a school because someone black, because of their skin color and not merit, was blocking you. But now you find out they used you. And now you feel some kind of way. Now you want to come on, black folks, let's get out here and no, we're not going to do nothing. We aren't fighting for you either. That sounds harsh, but wait a minute, hold on. Let me remind you. Where have you Asians, East Indians, and everybody else, Palestinians, you name it. We done fought for everybody and their cause. But who stood for us? We always get told, oh, you guys are the crybaby race. Oh, you guys always want to hand out, blah, 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 and wah, wah, wah. But now when your legs are getting cut off, your arms are getting cut off, and those very trillionaire and billionaires who we told you were using you, they got you nice, fat, and comfortable. And now they ripping you apart. How does it feel? How does it feel to know that here it is, they use who I call the black Damian Thorne, Barack Obama, when he signed into law the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, DESA, the Defense Enhancement Security Act, the LWTB, the Lone Wolf Terrorist Bill. All these things the United States government used, Israel used the black Trojan horse to sign into law that took away your rights. How does that feel? Huh? See, we're not here gloating, but what we are doing is reminding people that it's time for us to stop playing dumb or pretending to be dumb, or just stop being stupid. If you were choosing to be stupid, stop. Because now everything is out in the open. And we're not afraid to talk about it. So on that note, let's see who's talking in the comments section. Let's see who's out here. And we welcome you in. All right, we have Zion Waring. I love Baby Hebrew, But if this is what Lions Den is going, this ain't it. Well, okay. I'm sorry you feel that way but we have to keep on doing what the Lord compels us to do in the capacity that we're doing it. And I don't understand what we're doing wrong. Going social, political, economic.
He a reject for the Lions Den. He just come to talk shit. That's it. Don't pay him no mind.
All right, no, I'm reading it as is, and I'm just gonna just answer it.
I gotta let you know certain people that we don't give them attention. No, he's not. He's one of them. You don't give him
come on, Mom. You never let me have no fun. All right. Okay, I'll obey. But I'll obey. I'll obey.
Not when you play with bums.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Tyrone. Okay, boy, man. Tyrone. Yeah. All right, moving on. 90s era. Shalom to you as well. Stephen Jones. You are right. All right.
When they can't keep their feet on the couch, they get mad and say things like that.
Oh, okay. Kareem, happy Haters Day. That's right, Kareem.
That was a comment for him too. He keep tagging me in bullshit, crying and all this other stuff. I ain't got time, you know.
All right, happy Haters Day. 90s era. I appreciate being updated on the news.
Be a happy hater. You know?
Oh, okay. All right. And let me see. 90s era. I appreciate being updated on the news that I don't watch by him. Okay. Thank you. That's our job. Thank you for appreciating 90s era. Salaya Ben Yah. That's right. Welcome to the Lions and welcome them in. We have Vivian N6J. Shalom to you too, Vivian. Peace to you as well. And Water Blue Ezekiel. Bring it out, brother. Water Blue, what's going on, man? What's going on?
Hey, Water Blue.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to continue on, and then we're going to drop the link. And if anyone of you want to come up in here and converse with us and join the conversation, we'll be setting up as we lay it out, as we lay things out. You're more than welcome to come here and converse and sound off. We want to hear what you're thinking. Long as what you're saying is relevant and intelligent. All right. So we're going to continue on talking. And if there are more videos, let's just bring them up and we're going to cue them out and finish them out. But as you can see, what we're showing you is a strong dissatisfaction among the other nations out here. But like I said, y'all brought this on yourselves. All right? All that racism, all that anti-black talk, and now it's biting you in your butt. Now you're seeing, here it is, for years on end, you voting against your own interests because you didn't want black folks to have certain things. And now that's costing you. But don't get mad at us. You voted for Donald Trump and company. You voted for Joe Biden and company. You voted for Barack Obama and company. You voted for every creep and corrupt president that has took the helm of the presidency and all this legislation that they took orders from Israel to put into effect. You voted for this. And now you have a severe case of buyer's remorse. But see what happened when you put psychopaths and sociopaths in positions of leadership and power, and then they entrench themselves and use the military to get over and control you. And see, if you've been a long-time listener of the Lions Den, we've been telling you for years that what we were looking at was Adolf Hitler's program, Das Wunderkind, being brought into effect. We've been telling you for years that everything that you see being implemented right now throughout the United States of America began in around 2005, going into 2006. Does anyone remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California? Does anyone recall when as he was governor of California, every mayor and every governor from every city and state in America converged to sit down with Arnold Schwarzenegger? So when you get past his acting and the cool characters he's played in movies, that dude's a creep. Before I finish off, let me take you back even further. Does anyone out there, because I sure remember vividly, when in the movie documentary Pumping Iron, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was asked who was his favorite person of all time, he said without missing a beat, Adolf Hitler. Anyway, I'm going to come back to Arnold. We're going to run this video though. Okay, we're going to come back. I'm going to finish that off.
Thank you all so much for having me. I know on the docket it says I'm a comedian, but I have nothing funny to say to you. We are told that America is the greatest country on earth, but tell me if this sounds great. More children are gunned down in our nation than any other country. More people declare bankruptcy in America due to medical debt than any other country. America says it's the greatest country on earth, but it's one of the only countries that doesn't guarantee women maternity leave. Many women have to go back to work just a few days after giving birth. States across the U.S., including Oklahoma, have contracts with prisons to make sure they have enough inmates. And if they don't, we have to pay the prisons to maintain their profit margins. Ambulances are so expensive that it can easily ruin someone's financial life. People would rather call an Uber than call an ambulance. Our entire society is put behind a paywall, whether it be needing insurance for healthcare or insurance can deny coverage for treatment that's already covered and that people already pay for. Also, the insurance companies can get profit. Or insulin, which costs $80 monthly anywhere else in the world, but in America, it costs over $900. This is exploitation. Or our toll roads, paid for by our tax dollars who are owned by private corporations who turn around and charge us to drive on the roads that we paid for. All of this so that a robber baron can steal even more money from working class Americans. They say we are the freest country on earth, but according to the Cato Institute, we rank 14th in freedom. We have the highest incarceration rate of any country, which is pretty ironic for being the freest country on earth. We have freedom so long as we don't criticize the system that pays hardworking Americans a fraction of what they deserve. How sinister a country whose Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal, but then proceeds to abuse any minority that isn't straight white men. How morally corrupt a nation who preaches being the greatest country on earth, but in practice proves over and over again that it doesn't care about its people, but rather for the profit margins of the rich. We like to shake our finger at other nations and call them corrupt, but America has perfected the craft of corruption. Because in America, we can legally bribe our politicians. You want a law passed? Bribe a politician. You want a government contract? Bribe a politician. It just so happens that politicians you bribe are very helpful to corporations after they get elected. We call it lobbying, but the rest of the world calls it corruption. This is the type of hypocrisy that makes America so good at corruption. Something that's illegal and immoral to any decent person. You name it lobbying and all of a sudden it's not immoral. Now our fellow Americans won't know it's corrupt because you named it lobbying and made it legal. This is one of the core reasons for our country's downfall. We call ourselves a Christian nation, yet we bomb more countries than any other on earth. We supply more bombs used to murder children than any other country. We say we're a Christian nation, but we do not feed the poor. Thank you all so much for having me. I know on the docket it says I'm a comedian, but I have nothing funny to say to you. We are told that America...
Yeah, that's right. You hear all that? Do you hear it? But now, taking it back to 2005, going to 2006, as I was saying at the top of this conversation, as it continues, do you remember when you had all the then governors and mayors of every city, state, and town converge on California? Do you remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger brought in the Proposition 187 that was put into effect or was predicated by the former governor of California, Pete Wilson? Arnold, how Hitler Schwarzenegger, whose favorite person in the world, Adolf Hitler, Everything you see doing right now, because the things he did in California was ridiculous. Evil is all hell. God's Wonderkind in full effect. And this is why now, that so-called comedian, well, I won't say so-called, the comedian, everything he outlined, all that came by way of former Governor of California, Pete Wilson, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Go back and check it out when George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were at the helm of the presidency. See, this is why it pays to be educated. It pays to pay attention. And you need the Lion's Den in your life. Jay Snake, what's going on? I see you. Welcome. Let's continue on as the conversation continues. Whenever you're ready, Karima. Well, okay, while she's getting the video queued up and started. Oh.
So this is starting to look like a country that I'm no longer proud to have served. I've been working my entire adult, and I have paid half or more than half back to the government in some way, shape, or form in taxes for the past 30 years. And if you don't believe me, look up everything that you have that is taxed. State income tax, federal income tax, property taxes, payroll taxes, Medicare taxes, Medicaid taxes, sales taxes. Everything is taxed. Everything. And we have a political apparatus where half of them say that if you don't keep us in power, we will steal from you so that we can import people that will. So shut up and go back to work. And another side of the aisle that is either in on it or is total and complete chicken shit and won't do anything about it and won't even try to actually represent the people that vote for them. Is anybody else getting to a point where we feel like we cannot vote our way out of this? Where does that leave us? Because nothing is going to happen about the fraud. Nothing. All of the fraud that Elon Musk and Doge exposed, the Republican Congress put it on the back burner and refused to fucking vote on it. Turn around to the American voter that put them in power and extended one of these. It doesn't matter what we do. This situation is completely freaking unsustainable. Totally and completely unsustainable. It's a waste of time to vote, and it's a waste of energy to pay taxes so that we can give it to people that are going to steal from us. And then we can send it to other countries that hate us. And we can send it to people in the European Union that look down their nose at the American worker and say, good little bitch, go back to work. It's putting us in a helpless situation. And I don't think the people in Washington living in that bubble realize the anger that is fuming outside of the borders of that city. And I am not interested in watching another fucking theatrical congressional hearing where a couple of ballsy Republicans bitch out a fucking corrupt leftist and then nothing happens. Accountability and a fucking tax strike is what needs to happen. Has anybody else started to reach their breaking point or a boiling?
See, like I said, the Seventh Instant Eye, we don't condone sedition. We don't condone any kind of potential terroristic acts. We don't. We're not calling for it, but we're letting you know what's coming. See, again, I have no problem because history shows it. White folks, they're not going to sing and dance and do fish fries and freedom rides. They coming to hurt something. But this is what y'all voted for. But at the same time, It's either you put up or you shut up. Let's go to work as the conversation continues.
Where we need you to die for a pedophile ring of oligarchs that eats children. This is Uncle Sam, and I want you to know that I need 41 million of your taxpayer dollars every day to purchase missiles that are controlled by AI, that has all your data, knows exactly where you are, and is plotting against you. And oh yeah, we're going to show you exactly why the fuck you don't have health care. This message is supported by Colin Powell. Welcome to America, where we need you to die for a pedophile ring of oligarchs that eats children. This is Uncle Sam, and I want you to know that I need 41 million of your taxpayer dollars every day to purchase missiles that are controlled by AI, that has all your data, knows exactly where you are, and is plotting against you. And oh yeah, we're going to show you exactly why the fuck you don't have health care. This message is supported by
And now you understand why depopulation is now in full effect. Now you understand. See, they see a great many of you are waking up. They see a lot of us have bust that bubble and become woke, and they made woke to be vilified. Although, you know, there are certain forces that co-opted the term woke, which is a, you know, Ebonic black folk way of saying that we are wide awake and we have our third eye on, and we can't, and our vision isn't blurry when someone's trying to con and hustle us. But as you can see, there are a lot of young white folks out here full of resentment and full of anger. But wait. Let's continue on. Listen up to my man ZZ Top. Oh, well, he look like ZZ Top. For those that go back that far, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, go to work, Seventh Answer. Let's go to work.
I'm just an old hillbilly, but my ass is smart enough to figure out the government is not for the people at all. It don't matter Republican or Democrat. Fuck them all. Them some bitches take money from corporations, the monopolies that poison us. They give tax breaks to them same motherfuckers sending all the jobs over fucking seas where they get more fucking money because there's no taxes. I might not be the smartest motherfucker. I've been working for 30 fucking years paying taxes, and I haven't got nothing but shit roads, overtaxed, and told to work harder. So fuck all them some bitches up there. Until they actually work an honest day's fucking work and understand that we do not get by on this so-called minimum wage bullshit while they get paid 3 times the average salary of a U.S. citizen, talking about how hard it is to make it on $150,000 a year, not counting all the underhanded fucking money they get so they'll obey. All the corporations need to fucking disappear. Get rid of all the red tape bullshit and let blue-collar workers start their own fucking businesses so they can provide for their families. That's what this country was built on, not fucking providing for corporations. Get rid of indoctrinate and stupefy students. Colleges are no fucking better. They just take more of your money. Wake up, America. When anarchy is the most civilized looking we're in trouble. Most of this country wait fucking shots of the Civil War to kick off so we can make our choice. We would rather die on our feet, holding up a finger saying, fuck you, come get me, than take a fucking knee for some cock-sucking sons of bitches that don't give a flying fuck about us. America's tired. Americans are fucking done. The goddamn tax system is a fucking joke because there is no amount of money going to fix the fucking problems when 3/4 of the money goes overseas and in others' pockets before it does a goddamn bit of good. Fuck them all. Charge them. If there ain't hangings, we shouldn't stand behind the government. God bless.
And there you have it. Quite colorful, but like I said, the pressure is building. Like on a previous show we did, tick, 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 boom. Here it is. You're hearing it. See, we go out and we get the evidence. We make claims. We get the evidence. There was someone here last night talking about we talk a good game. We don't talk games. We don't play games. We don't have time for games. We're talking hardcore, in your face reality. Some of you don't believe in the Bible, that's fine. For all my Bible believers, you see the biblical prophecies are falling off the pages. For some of you out there who don't believe in the Bible, but you see the upheaval, you see something is dreadfully wrong, and that's why you're tuning in here. Because you know we're not on anyone's payroll. We're not being controlled. Yeah, there are forces out there who are jacking up our algorithm and coming for us. But fine, whatever. We're going to still do what we have to do until it's done. But listen carefully to the attitude, the sentiments. These people are mad and they're not playing at all because they see the handwriting on the wall. And a house divided will surely fall. There's no getting around that either. But to our white listeners out there, some of you may have had good intent, whatever, but you know full well you really couldn't come correct and do right by us. But until America does right by we, the so-called foundation of Black Americans, we're the children of Israel, the real Jews the Bible speaks of, until you do right by us, this is going to continue to happen to you. Reparations are due us. And acknowledgement, and not only acknowledgement, but a righting of the evils that you've done to our people has to be taken care of. Or, as another biblical proverb says, the sins of the parents most certainly will fall upon the heads of the children. Why? Because if the sins of the parents are not cleaned up by their children, then they deserve to be cursed. See, listen, America was built on blood. It was built on chicanery. It was built on violence and evil. And therefore, in order to make that right, you have to be able to say what it is, what it was, and what it will be if you do what's right. But like again, even some of you listening, your hearts are hardened. Just me mentioning reparations probably have you melting like the wicked witch of the West in the Wizard of Oz. But again, a great many people owe us. Again, when you had America go on official record, I mean, I can't let that go. Go on record as saying that what America did, they shouldn't be held accountable for it because it was legal at the time. So again, I just want you to get the gist of what was said at that UN Resolution Council. When Dan Negrea said this is America's position. So wait, feeding young boys and girls to alligators was legal. Hanging Black women upside down by their ankles while pregnant and taking out the baby and unaliving the babies. All right, that was legal whipping, chaining, and, graping both men and women in the buck breaking process. All that was legal. Bombing Black Wall Street and every other street you can think of where black progression was in effect was legal. Bombing 4 little girls in the 16th Street Baptist Church was legal. Because that's when it stopped. That's when it became illegal. But everything else, it was legal. This is America's position. And you think that's going to fly in the divine aspect of the one true God? No. But see, we're not going to give you a sermon here, though. But we're just letting you know that everything that's happening out here is indeed spiritual. You reap what you sow, what you reap, and you can't get around this. So we continue to move on. We're going to continue to queue up other videos. Like I said, we're just giving you a slew. An absolute smorgasbord of proof. Past, present, showing that we're not making things up here. And again, in accordance to the Federal Communications Commission, what we're saying is not bigoted racist. It's not hate towards any nation out here or anybody, period. It is just the much needed truth and honest conversation. See, for a long time, America never took a position officially on how they felt about reparations. We've seen the voting, the sabotages, we've seen all that. But you never took a position on it. But now, in writing, a precedent has been set in stone, the attitude of this country. And with that attitude, up from that attitude, all these weeks later, Ghana stays being flooded. And all kinds of actions continue to go down here in America. Excuse me. But yes, we see things are about to explode. War is coming here right now, pretty soon. We have Italy. The people of Italy, look it up for yourselves, because corporate media probably has a blackout. But in Italy, they are now shut down. The people aren't paying anything. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to work. They're not doing jack. They're tired. And it's only but so far you can push people, and these billionaires and trillionaires, all these Peter Thiels and everyone else, you can do all this planning and you can do all these ungodly thoughts. You want to unleash your Terminators? Go on ahead. You want to unleash anything out here? Go ahead. Go right on ahead. Knock yourself out. But you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Because the pushback is going to be strong. See, you can't destroy and depopulate what you didn't create. See, that's the arrogance in certain species of humanity, if you want to call them human. Because there's a big question mark about that too. Going around assaulting children. You call that human? The behavior of a human? Feeding children to alligators and crocodiles. Hanging women upside down when they were pregnant, while they're pregnant, and cutting open their stomachs and then stomping the head of the baby. You call that human? See, I know all y'all, or many of you out here, you hate being reminded of your history, but yo, we're not letting you slide. We're not going to let you slide when you come here on the Lion's Den. The Lion's Den is what it is. We hunt, we pray, and we discombobulate our enemies. You know, intellectually, of course, that is. Let me be careful what I say, but we do that intellectually. And if you can't handle the truth, if you can't handle this hardcore but yet loving and soothing, again, hardcore but yet loving and soothing truthality experience or an experiment, you have no business being here. You have no business critiquing. And seventh answer, when you're ready, you can drop the link. You know, if anyone wants to come in and converse with us, see who's talking before I go back, continue on. Yeah, we're going to, oh, thank you, Water Blue. We're going to bring it out. And Salah Benya, I know, Mississippi, he always crying. But, you know, hey, it is what it is, man. But, yeah. While Karima's getting another video, now I'm on this train of thought that I'm on, right? Yo, let's get into, you know, the issue concerning Rosanda Chili Thomas. Now, look, I'm all about freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of, you know, your life direction, how you want to live your life. I'm not trying to force what I believe on anybody, but no one's going to force on me what I think and believe. Now, there are a lot of people in the cancel culture that want to come for Chili because, you know, her MAGA connections, because according to the Federal Elections Commission, this girl has made about 17 monetary donations in differing denominations to Donald Trump, I believe it is, and she's even made donations to Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio. But let me just say this here on this issue. When it comes to Hutch, look, why are we getting bent out of shape about what a celebrity does? Why? For all my black folks out there, don't you remember what Malcolm X said so famously? If you don't, I'm going to remind you. Show me in any other community where an entertainer, singer, dancer, trumpet player, or what, a basketball player, whatever, is a leader. Show me where that's at. And here we are in 2026, and we're getting bent out of shape behind this girl and her, well, I'm going to say unfortunate choices. Considering what Donald Trump has led us into right about now, and all the Epstein and all that. Well, Chili, baby girl, if you're listening to this broadcast right now, hun, you kind of stepped in some dookie poo that not even we can defend you on. Word up. Now, I'm not about trying to block nobody's money. I'm not about doing that. Nope, I'm not. Okay? Because with what I'm about to go into, and we're going to go into historically, well, we got bigger fish to fry. But like I said, Chili, honey, you better clean this up. Seriously. All right? It would have been, you would have been better off using your publicist instead of you trying to do a mea culpa. Seriously, because it looks bad. All right? Yes, baby girl, like you, I'm not that computer literate or computer savvy. But I know that if I press certain buttons that I shouldn't be pressing, you know, like, look, I'm not going to even try to hide. Here it is. I fight the flesh and I fight certain demons every day. And while I do these wonderful broadcasts, I'm human, and there are times where I got to fight like David Allen Greer's Reverend Leon Lonnie Love from the Martin Show. Every now and again, I gotta not press that button that says bigbooty.com. What? See, I know that but if I press that button, I'm going to see things and images that I should not be watching. Chili. But I can admit that. Your lying ass, child, you're too old to be lying. Okay? Don't sit up here and talk about you didn't know a certain button you press. Stop that, Chili. Stop. Come on. Because if you didn't know that, you shouldn't be on a computer now, should you? It's just a thought. It's just a thought. But I'm not with this all this bullying and cancel culture crap. But moving on though, yo. Now, next up, Nick Cannon. Oh my God, the Democrats. You know the Democrats, y'all always crying, man. Yo, you got the right color, blue. Y'all always crying the blues. Boo-hoo-hoo. But yo, everyone's in their feelings about Nick Cannon and Amber Rose and their sentiments and what they felt about the Democratic Party. Now, let me make this clear. I am not for the Republican Party, none whatsoever, not at all. Albeit, I do believe in republicanism, but America does not properly practice the science of republicanism as outlined in the Bible. That's right. They don't practice it. But when Nick Cannon said that the Democratic Party was a party of the KKK and anti-black, he wasn't lying. See, hold up. So we here on the conversation continue, the Lions Den. Hey, yo, we're not going to let you off the hook, Democrat. We're not going to let your ass sit up here with all this selective outrage and try to escape your history. Okay? To you, Roland Martin, yeah, I'm talking to you, Jamel Hill, Joy Reid, all you shills out there, as you're called. They got the whoever came up with the shill name describing y'all perfectly. Al Sharpton, all y'all. Y'all always want to be Stephen from Django or some Sambo buck dancing, defending the Democratic Party. But see, let's go to you here, Roland Martin. You try to. I get tired of you with all this calling Black Americans, anybody, Simple Simons. And we don't know anything. Or some people talking about Nick Cannon should read a book. He did read a book. He did. And normally my man Godfrey, the comedian, normally my man, you be on point. But on this one here, what you said, y'all, not even Godfrey, you dropped the ball on this one, man. You dropped the ball. You my man in the hole now. I love when you lay things out, but on this Nick Cannon issue, you dropped the ball. And I'm going to help y'all. Since Roland Martin, you wanted to give a history lesson, I watched your show. Because see what we do? We here in the Lions Den, Karima, she has her assignment where she watches other videos and other shows and voices out there. And so do I. I want to get the different feels and different attitudes and sentiments. You know, so that way when we come for anyone from a counterpoint standpoint, we do it fairly and we do it with no bias. So there was a whole heap of Democratic shills, Jamel Hill, all, you know, some of y'all out there, y'all know the usual suspects. So let me, Lions Den style, we're going to go down the line historically on how the Democrats was giving it up. You done seen us do videos on Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and all the atrocities that happened to Black America in the area of our progression. But what we didn't do, we didn't go into who were the presidents at the time when all this happened. And all you Democrats, you always crying when someone reminds you of your history. But hey, yo, you can cry all you want. Because here, yo, we're about to we're going to rewrite and erase you Lions Den style. Let's go to work, okay? Because first off, let me remind you. I'm going to repeat it one more time. I do not at all advocate the Republican Party because, see, Democrat and Republican, as far as I'm concerned, I won't speak for the seventh answer. I'll speak for myself on this one here. In the immortal words, in the voice of Oscar the Grouch, both parties, you stink. It's just that simple. But you Democrats, man, like I said, y'all got this selective outrage. And all your black gatekeepers and all that, man, yo, no. We're not going to let that ride. Because here it is for the last 60 years. Black folk been voting Democrat for 60 some odd years. And what have you done for us lately? What you did in the past? Nothing. So let's run it down the line. We're going to, roll them on. Want to give you a history? We're going to give you a history. Just 10 points. We're going to use 10 points. We could go longer, but we'll be here all night. But in the last and final hour, let me give you a history lesson on how the Democrats was giving it up yesterday and today. So we're going to start off with Woodrow Wilson, Democrat, who served from 1913 to 1921. And what was happening when Woodrow Wilson was the president, taking over from the 29th president, Warren G. Harding, who wound up dying, in and around January of 1923. No, I'm sorry. Let me wait. Let me not get them transposed. Woodrow Wilson, Democrat, 1913, 1921. Yes. It was Woodrow Wilson that, when he was president, you had Black Wall Street go down. That's right. Literally go down. That's right. Woodrow Wilson was the president when Black Wall Street went down. And see, that white mob and all those who went up in that city, to do what they did. Only the president could have allowed that to happen. No, he didn't send in any kind of rescue workers to put that white mob down. And all those planes that bombed the aerial attacks. Woodrow Wilson didn't say jack bone when that transpired. Think about that for a second, y'all. I want you to give it careful consideration. Let's go down and continue on. That's number one. Let's go on to number two. You had the 15th president of these United States, James Buchanan, who served from 1857 to 1861. And what went down during his presidency? Well, now, in 1857, James Buchanan allowed a white mob to go into Seneca Village, which is now known as Central Park. And the black residents and township and everything that they had going on in New York City, New York, was wiped out. That was a Democrat on watch when that transpired. And not just Seneca Village. During the 1857-1861 presidency of James Buchanan, it was other townships that got wiped out in New York City, New York, and the surrounding areas of New Jersey and Connecticut, the tri-state as it's called. Yeah, that was going on, Democrat. Now, let's go to who was the seventh president. As you can see, I didn't put them in numerical order like I should have. I was just pulling them off the, different sites that I did my investigation as they were. But anyway, the 7th president of these United States was Andrew Jackson, Democrat. From 1829 to 1837, he served. But during his presidency, Democrat now, in 1831, you had 80 black people kicked out of Portsmouth, Ohio, and other racial ethnic cleansings all throughout Ohio, Nebraska, Arkansas, and other areas in the Midwest and South when Andrew Jackson was at the helm, Democrat. See, hold up. So what did Nick Cannon didn't say anything wrong? He didn't. Let's continue on. Let's continue on. Let's bring it to the 32nd president, number 4, Franklin Roosevelt, who served from 1933 to 1945. And what was going on during Franklin Roosevelt's presidency? Oh, you had redlining and all kinds of other unfair housing practices. Do you hear me, y'all? Do you hear me? That was Franklin Roosevelt. And not only redlining, bombing, maiming, and black folks getting their land stolen. That's right. Democrat. And you all gonna hate me now. You're gonna really hate me for this one. And let's go now to number 5. And let's go to the 35th president of these United States, Democrat, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And what was going on during the time of John Kennedy? Oh, you had SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. You had the Southern Christian Leadership Council led by the Reverend Martin Luther King. You had so many other black groups that were out there protesting, being bombed, who were being water hosed, all that. John Kennedy finally came down from his ivory tower, moved by Malcolm X in particular, moved by Malcolm X's criticism of him, and he found out that what was happening to Martin Luther King in that time frame was true. And what white mobs were doing was true. Now, John Kennedy, he tried to be a man of conscience. He made a critical speech in his native Boston. And it went along these lines here. The opening was, come on, my fellow Americans. We really need to be careful. Come on, my fellow Americans. We really need to be careful how we treat our black citizenry. We should consider how we treat a black man. Because what if you were to wake up and find out that God was a black man? Well, that didn't blow over to, how you say, sweet for certain forces out there. And let's run it down the line. When the Democrats, John Kennedy, Democrat, but wait, what happened when John Kennedy gave that speech? Not long after, about a year or so later, Dallas, we all know what happened in Dallas. But my point is, you ready? John Kennedy and Medgar Evers both were annihilated in 1963. Lyndon Baines Johnson becomes the president. Malcolm X annihilated 1965. You had Martin Luther King, Robert Francis Kennedy, and Bobby Hutton taken from us in 1968, and that'd be the year of my birth, 1968. Yeah, I'm a geezer. Then Fred Hampton, 1969. All that done on the Democrats' watch. But wait. In between 1963 and 1965, you had the 1964 Civil Rights Act signed into law, finally. Because the Democrats was against it. Don't get it twisted. But Martin Luther King, in that time frame, recognized that he got hosed. All right? Why? Because the government decided to go back in and, rewrite and restructure the Civil Rights Act and the Civil Rights Bill. What was supposed to be provisions solely for Black people, because we were being deprived of certain rights, certain health care, and everything else at the time. Certain access to schools because of our skin color, and other acts of sabotage and savagery. That bill was solely for us. But the Democrats, who will be Black folks' friend, Lyndon Baines Johnson and company, and the teams of lawyers went in and restructured the Civil Rights Act, rewrote it. And all of a sudden, people's handicap, sexual orientation, and so on and so forth got incorporated. They could have had a separate bill of their own, but no, it got incorporated into what was supposed to be solely for Black folk. You see? And in the end, who was the biggest beneficiary of the Civil Rights Act bill and DEI, Diversified Equality Initiative, I think it's called? White women. White women. That's right. Becky and Karen and Susan became the biggest beneficiaries of the Civil Rights Act bill. And it was at that moment Martin Luther King recognized he got screwed and became real disillusioned, and for the next 4 years of his life took on a lot of people that had J. Edgar Hoover feeling some kind of way. H. Rap Brown and other members of the Black Panther Party was joining his rank and file. Mr. King was making all kinds of speeches after Malcolm X's assassination, talking about America should really be brought up on charges. And he put into effect what was going to be called the Poor People's Campaign. This march was going to be seen internationally. And then he gave the war on Vietnam and condemned it. And we all know what happened. The Democrats was on duty at that time. Oh, you want more? I'm going to give you more. I'll give you more. Number 6, let's go to the presidency of Jimmy Carter, the 39th president of the United States of America. There was some of y'all out there back in that time thinking that Jimmy Carter was a good old boy. He was a good guy. No, he wasn't. No, he was not. No, he wasn't. Much of everything he did during his presidency was more symbolism. Yeah, sure. More blacks got appointed and do-nothing jobs and cabinet positions and the Congressional Black Caucus and all that. But they didn't do anything for black folk. There were bills and legislation that Jimmy Carter signed against black folk, Democrat. And when the issue of, that's right, reparations began, Jimmy Carter, he wasn't trying to hear nothing. Oh, but do you want some more? Y'all want more? Everybody else got paid during Carter's administration, you know, except black folk who did all that voting. But wait, you want some more? I'm going to give you more. Number 7. We're going through our history of the Democrats. Just 10 points I'm going to give you. William Jefferson Clinton, who I affectionately call Wild Bill Clinton, the 42nd president of these United States, Democrat, who served from 1993 to 2001. Oh, let's just break this dude down. First, led by Joe Biden, the 1994 crime bill. Oh, yeah. When, unfortunately, we had the crack epidemic at an all-time high, Joe Biden and company, Democrat, put the 1994 crime bill in place because at the behest of the Congressional Black Caucus, Master, the niggers, we can't control them. We got to make laws to control the niggers. See, gatekeepers. And Joe Biden, when the crack epidemic came into a play, I'm sure some of you've seen the speech. You know how he talked back then. If a man gets caught with just a little piece of crack rock, 5 years, he should get automatic. No parole, just 5 years straight. And they put the 1994 crime bill in full effect to do what? Come against black people. Oh, there was no sympathy if you were strung out on crack or caught up in the drug addiction. There was no sympathy. There was no programs, nothing to really help you. But they sure enough started hitting brothers with football numbers, making crack cocaine more dangerous than from where it was derived from. White powder cocaine and white drug dealers got less time, but black drug dealers, forget about it. That was the Democrats doing that. Bill Clinton was the president. The three strikes law put into effect by then California Governor not Pete Rose. Oh my God. I just said his name early on. Pete. It'll come to me. Pete. All right, Governor Pete, I'm going to say, before Arnold Schwarzenegger. He put the three strikes law in full effect in conjunction with the 1994 crime bill. Here it was, if, let's say, an unfortunate black man or woman, they ran afoul of the law. 3 strikes. Let me tell you how that worked. Here it is. You doing good or you're in between. A brother gets caught stealing a loaf of bread. Shoplifting. A loaf of bread. Well, 3 strikes, life in prison, no parole. This is the bull shenanigans that Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, okay, and Governor Pete, it'll come to me. I forgot his last name, unfortunately, but bottom line is Democrats was doing that. And you know what I'm going to say? With Joe Biden, the Lord got your ass good. He got you real good and made your son a damn crackhead. And with all the stealing his ass was doing, you ain't put your son in prison, now did you? Now did you? Just a thought. Let's move on. Under Bill Clinton, you had what was called WEP, or we call it WEP, the Wicked Employment Program. They put into effect where you had black people only now, black welfare recipients were going to be required to work for their benefits. Just the black people now. Democrats. Not the white welfare recipients and those who benefit from welfare benefits. No, just you black folks. I thought that if you give a person a job, They're supposed to be given a fair and livable wage. No, they want them to come and work for their welfare benefits. But just the black folks, the Democrats, Bill Clinton. Let's go. Let me continue on. Oh yeah. During that time, you had recently deceased Jesse Side Action Jackson, who got caught selling the black vote to Bill Clinton in that time frame for $2 million. Democrat. That's right. But when it came down to reparations, what did Bill Clinton say? Survey says, ping, no. No. With a big fat F you. But wait, it gets even better. It gets even better. Number 8, Barack the Drama Obama, the 44th president of these United States. And he served from 2009 to 2017. Democrat. And what did Barack Obama do during his presidency? Oh, Barack Obama extended the powers of the Homeland Security Act. Now, I know some of you say, but he gave Obamacare. That's what he is supposed to do, like all the other presidents were supposed to look out for the people. That ain't nothing special. That's what he's supposed to do. And everybody benefited from Obamacare. Now, didn't they? And that's fine. That's okay. But although he gave Obamacare, some of you weren't paying attention when he extended the powers of the Homeland Security Act put into effect by George W. Bush and Dick Cheney after the whole 911 and the knocking down of the twin towers. Okay? And don't forget, oh yeah, don't forget that how could I forget? The first attempt to knock down the World Trade Center. Who was the president? Oh yeah, William Jefferson Clinton. But they failed. But under the Republicans, they got it right. But let me move on to back to Barack Obama. Yeah, he gave Obamacare, but he also gave the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. He gave DESA, the Defense Enhancement Security Act. He gave the LWTB, Lone Wolf Terrorist Bill, and other policies and things he signed, executive orders he signed into law. Oh yeah. He and Hillary Clinton knocked out the box Muammar Gaddafi. And over there in Africa and all the other lands that Muammar Gaddafi was taking good care of, they're in chaos ever since. And that's why Iran is kicking America's booty right now. But get back on the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act that Barack Obama signed into being on December 31st, 2000, I believe it was 8 or 9. But my point is, 2013. My point is, every law, every constitutional law and right and privilege that we all enjoyed and fought so hard for was gone. You want to know why these police have been buck wild and able to get away with what they've been doing to a great many people? Don't take my word for it. I want you to pick up the National Defense Authorization Act and read, depending on if they haven't, changed it, read some of the rights and certain things that were afforded to law enforcement and the extension of their powers, and how Barack Obama gave full and sweeping powers to the United States government to declare war on whoever they deem to be enemy combatants. That could be anybody. That's what Barack Obama signed into law. The Defense Enhancement Security Act, I want you to go read that for yourself. The Lone Wolf Terrorist Bill, that piece of legislation was just absolute demonic. The Lone Wolf Terrorist Bill entails that here it is, if you as a person who's a dissident, you're protesting, you're exercising your right to free speech against some of the things that are being done in this country, you don't have to be a part of a group for the government to snatch you up. Have y'all been looking at the, lately online and how a lot of these police auditors and other individuals have been getting snatched up and beat up on? Have you noticed how when you speak up for your rights and your privileges, you're prone to getting yourself jacked up? All the aforementioned pieces of legislation signed by Barack Obama made that possible. Oh, but wait. I'm at number 9 now. Let's go into Joseph R. Biden, the 46th president of the United States, Democrat. Oh my goodness. Let's not forget this man opened up the floodgates of Immigrants Unlimited, affectionately known in certain circles as Biden's Migrants. That man made it possible for billions upon billions of dollars to be given to all these illegal migrants being allowed to flood Black communities. Like I said, we've been getting ignored. Our fair share of the monies and things that we contributed to society. But these people come over here, didn't do a damn thing for the country, and we're getting billions getting put up in swank hotels, schools being shut down and reconstructed for their comfort and stay. After school centers and child care centers being closed in Boston and in Chicago, when you had the mayor out there, Brandon Johnson. And that governor, oh my, he got the one with the gangster, the Italian gangster name. They were out there letting all that evil and upheaval of Black communities to accommodate all these migrants, getting all those billions of dollars. That was Joe Biden who did that. Oh yeah. Let's look at the tabulations, the incalculable billions that was being given to the illegal migrants. Then Joe Biden took it upon himself to give Ukraine a total of $20 billion, not to mention an extra $600 million because of their war that was going on, and any white European that want to come to America coming out of Ukraine, well, $600 million was allocated in EBT benefits and welfare benefit money in their pockets on a weekly basis. That was Joe Biden. Joe Biden took $94 billion and packed that up for Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine to share. Not to mention the $64 billion, I believe it was, he gave to Afghanistan and that never-ending war. But when it came down to the issue of reparations, Barack Obama and Joe Biden told black people unequivocally, no. As a matter of fact, with Joe Biden, he basically he almost said F you. That's Democrats. And then number 10. Oh my God. Hey yo. Let's go to, he wants to be president, but he's currently the governor of California. Yo, California, have you noticed how hot California has been in my itinerary, in my list of how the Democrats been giving it up historically? California been hot. But what am I showing you? Nick Cannon wasn't wrong. The Democrats was foul towards black folks yesterday, and they foul against black folks now. Wait, but before I go into Gavin Newsom, I'm going to make number 10 actually the 11th president of these. I'm going to take it back. The 11th president of the United States, because I use him as an insert because I forgot his deeds, but President James K. Polk, P-O-L-K, James Polk, who served from 1845 to 1849. And what did James K. Polk, Democrat, okay, a Democrat and also a Federalist. All right, but we're gonna just focus on his Democratic Party, Democrat. And what did President James K. Polk want to do during his 1845 to 1849 administration? He wanted to expand the powers of slavery. You know, because don't forget that what they were doing to black folk, according to our boy at the United Nations, let me go back and get his name. I'm not good with names, but Dan Negria. But during the time of James K. Polk, 1845 to 1849, all that was legal. He wanted to extend and expand the powers of slavery throughout the Midwest and northern states where, you know, black folks, the Underground Railroad trying to escape. He was looking, James K. Polk, Democrat, KKK. So what did Nick Cannon say that was so wrong? So I've given you his story. I could have given you more, but we only do about 3 hours here, and we're about to come down to the last 30 some odd minutes. So I'm going to now taper it off with number 11 as an extra. Gavin Newsom, current governor of California. And what did Gavin Newsom do? Democrat. You know, supposed to be friend of black folks. Well, if you weren't paying attention to just a few short years ago, Gavin Newsom, along with his California Black Caucus of congressional black cowards, as I call them, in conjunction with the NAACP, headed by Amos Brown in San Francisco, yeah, that's right, they blocked every piece of legitimate legislation for reparations. Yes, they did. Okay, if you don't know the particulars of it, I'm going to give you the particulars as when Amos Brown in the San Francisco chapter of the NAACP. Because like I said, all that was done at the behest and the bidding of Gavin Newsom. So let me just take you back real quick. because I like to keep notes. And I hope you're enjoying this, and I hope that Roland Martin and all you other Democratic shills out there, I'm gonna name names. I'm gonna call you by name. I'm sick and tired of all y'all, man, with your gaslighting garbage. But back in 2023, all right, the NAACP, San Francisco, you know, the national chapter at the time, under Amos Brown, and the San Francisco, after the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, all right, they had put up and approved a $5 million per person reparations proposal put up by the state of California. That was Gavin Newsom, mind you, the state. But yeah, okay. Amos Brown and the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, they were goaded to reject that cash payment. According to Amos Brown, no, we didn't need every black person out there at $5 million a person. No, they didn't need the money. They needed programs. Amos Brown, you know, came up with the proposal for more public housing, more programs, cultural centers, and educational programs. Well, the backlash they got back then, although it didn't change anything, but still, what's the point I'm making? The Democrats and Gavin Newsom, all right, they shoehorned, sabotaged, and disrupted that whole reparations package. $5 million per person. And that's what the Democrats did. Your Democratic governor. Okay? And then, wait a minute. Let me remind you though. In February of 2023, Wells Fargo gave a $50 million donation to the NAACP, including the San Francisco chapter. They got their piece of the action of that money. Of course, you know, Gavin Newsom probably got his cut. But do you see the connection, ladies and gentlemen? Do you see what I'm talking about here? That's what happened. And this is why you need the Lion's Den in your life. You need the Seventh Answer. And myself, Darkstorm, Baby Hebrew, Mala Akaya, my Hebrew name. You need for us to be on our job. And for all of our other listeners out there, for all my non-practicing Israelites, you need for us to be on our job. For all you other nations out there, you love that we're on our job. But to you Democrats out there, man, stop faking the funk, man. We got you dead to rights. Your history yesterday and your history towards black folk in particular has been absolutely abysmal. So Nick Cannon is vindicated. He's absolutely right. Oh, what? Y'all feel some kind of way because it was Nick Cannon and Amber Rose and giving their pass? Man, stop that. Stop that. I'm not going to let nobody other than, although Amber Rose, she kind of like leans towards Republican, but still, I'm not going to let no one come for them on a personal level because, number one, as Christ said best, let he or she without sin cast the first stone. And Water Blue, Ezekiel, I'm glad you appreciate it. I'm glad you appreciate it, man. For reals. Okay, and I will subscribe to your channel. You ain't said nothing but a word. See, this is what we do. And this is why we're on our job. Like I said, we don't hate anyone, but we do hate all the kooks, crazy, fakers, and all these pretenders out here. If among our people are found some very wicked men and women too. We're not going to pretend we don't see that either, and we coming for everybody. So there you go. So what did Nick Cannon say that was so wrong? When historically, I could have given you more, but I didn't want to overload your circuits out there, y'all. But this is how the Democrats have been giving it up. And they're more, and I'm going to say this here, they're more ruthless than the Republicans. They really are. At least with the Republicans, you know where you stand. You really do. So, as we now are coming down to the last 20 minutes or so, I'm going to say this here. You have now been thoroughly informed and educated once again with a high-power conversation here on the Lion's Den. As always, we love and appreciate what we do here. All right? And where you out there might be asleep, tired, or whatever, we are engineered and steered by the Lord God Almighty to go out here and do that research, to do the necessary due diligence of kicking over every stone to make sure that we come here week to week, day to day, to give you out there what you need. The 7 eyes, baby. Let me take it back. The 7 eyes. Don't ever forget the 7-eye formula that makes this machine work. And that's intelligence. That's I'm gonna put ingenuity in there too. And that's the 8th eye from here on out. So ingenuity, intelligence, integrity, inspiration, influence, independence, insight, and verifiable, irrefutable, and undeniable information. The 8 eyes. Okay? And the ingenuity, that's off on the 7th answer, Lady Karima. See, like I said, I do my thing as the voice and somewhat the face, but the heart and the lungs of this operation, you know, ooh, ladies first, ladies first. And I don't have no problem saying it because, see, everybody been given their talents out here by the Great Spirit. Okay, and I give all praise to my sister in faith and mom at times, who won't let me have no fun at times, Lady Karima. So, but we thank you out there, all my night owls on the East Coast. I know some of y'all have to go to work, all right? But all my night owls that ride with us here at 1:30 in the morning, I say to you all, Shalom, okay? And Asar, Ashar Pasak for all those who are celebrating the Passover, and happy Feast of Unleavened Bread as well. Happy New Year, okay? To all you out there, again, we thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher, and we hope that we inspire and influence you to get up off your duff and check things out for yourself, because it's critical. In these times where lies and gaslighting and all that is the norm, you have to go and check things out for yourself. And we urge you, don't just take our word for it. We want you to get up off your duff and check things out for yourself, Because at the start and end of every day is going to always be your spiritual, intellectual, and emotional maturity to look out and investigate things for yourself. And yeah, you know, that's right, Tyrone Django. I will agree with you. It really is critical. Okay? And that's why we're giving fair warnings here on this vehicle. Because, again, there are a lot of angry people out here. We hope the videos that we've shown you tonight will get you all ready and prepared for what's possibly, I won't say possibly, what's coming down the pipe. Because see, these people, demons walking with earthly feet, they are hardening their hearts just like all the other world rulers and empire destroyers did back in the ancient days. This war in Iran is getting worse by the second. You know, I just got a report saying that an true estimated 700 American troops have just gotten annihilated. Okay? If that is true, do you see why the draft is coming? But see, these fools have jumped out there and they done poked the bear. And now we're seeing that not only is it Iran, you have Russia, China, the Houthis out of Yemen, and now Pakistan, as of Friday, April 3rd, just put their gauntlet in for Iran. We saw yesterday a proposed meeting between 40 different nations in regards to the Strait of Hormuz out there in Iran to be opened up to every ship. But the only nation not invited and was cast out, America. Now, who would have thought we'd live to see that? But that's where we're at. So, you know, we thank you for trusting us because it take a lot of heart. Let me explain. It take a lot of heart for I and the Seventh Answer to come here and do these shows. Like I said, we're being watched. We're being monitored. Our algorithm gets jacked up and messed with. They take away our viewership. They unsubscribe people. And then people wake up in the morning and they miss the live broadcast. But through it all, we see some of you diehards in here. And we love the fact that you take time out, share this show. Those who are listening on the Facebook end of it, thank you for tuning in as well. And all y'all who've been commenting in here, thank you as well. All right. So in closing, I want to thank you, the viewing and listening audience, for allowing myself and the Seventh Answer to come into your homes. And you learning something, hey, I'm sure you have. But again, I repeat, it is your spiritual, intellectual, and emotional responsibility to still study and check things out for yourself. You know, because all we can do is give you the information, but what you choose to do with it after it is your choice. Okay? I want to thank all those of you that give your commentary, although you didn't come here and converse with us, still giving your commentary and your insights in the comment section keeps us motivated. It makes it worth the while. And we want you to take the 8 I's. That's ingenuity, intelligence, integrity, inspiration, influence, independence, insight, and verifiable information, and make that your formula to get out here and do what you do and be the best you, male or female. Excuse me. Because what makes us so good at what we do? Dedication, focus, and just being willing to jump out there after complaining about what's wrong and we make it right. See, anybody can complain. As my grandfather taught me many moons ago, anyone can complain. That's easy to do. But people who complain never want to solve the problem that they see wrong. And as my grandfather taught me, yo, if you're going to complain and not solve the problem, then you should shut up. So rather than continue to complain about what white media won't talk about when it comes to our issues, we got up off our behinds. And we took different fields of study in the area of communications. You know, Karima, more technically sound. I was more learning how to do television production in my neck of the woods. And at one time had my own public access talk show. You know, so we're both well versed. I'm a certified paralegal for the state of New York, that is. But still, I've used those skills to be the talk show host that I am now. Thorough, though at times I try to commit things to memory, but I'm going to start keeping more notes. Apparently, when you start getting old, your memory and everything else starts to fade. But still, it's all about taking your skills and talents that the Lord gives you and using them. And I'm going to say another inspiration was the late Jackie Wilson, singer Jackie Wilson. But it was through Michael Jackson. And a reporter asked Michael why he's so great. Why is he so good? How did he learn? And Michael said, well, when I was 13 years old and I was watching Jackie Wilson perform, I was so blown away, you know, that I gained access to his dressing room and was talking to him. And Michael said, I asked Jackie, yo, how are you so great? And you're singing and you're dancing the way you perform. And he said that Jackie told him, young blood, let me tell you what you do. To be the best at what you do, go out and seek those who are better than you. And watch them. Accept the fact that there are people out there who are better than you in certain things. Don't let that deter you to be unhealthy and competitive, Jackie said. He said, Jackie Wilson said, no, learn from them. Watch them. And take every bit and piece that you see which makes them so special and make it yours. And that's how yours truly, along with the Seventh Answer, we're here on this medium now. There are other voices out there who do it better. But I'm not worried about competing with anyone. No. I took what I learned from them and others to make the personality that you see right now. So, Seventh Answer, if you're still with us, hon, you have any parting shots as we sign off? Okay, I'll take over by saying We want you to hit that like. We want you to hit that subscribe button. We want you to share this show with friends. And again, like I said, make sure you have not been unsubscribed. All right? So we give an honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. And as always, in the spirit of Don Cornelius, we always say in parting, Shalom, peace, Ahab, love, and Napash, protect and watch over yours and those you love's souls. And have a good, productive week and be safe out here. And seventh answer, take us up out of here, baby. It's over.